Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshur Anmilatam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Magyam Tadadi Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnav Simcha Shri Rupam Sagarajitam Saganyana Raghunatha Vidam Tam Cha Jivam Satvaitam Samadudam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saha Jnana Lalita Shri Savam Sa हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपिशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गुरु गौरांगी राधा वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसूरे देवी प्रणम हरिप्रिये वांचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु इवाच पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरव भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री कृष्ण।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27. We will start, won't finish. Before that, we will first focus on the questions that you were given to answer. And then you can also explain some striking points and inquiries, and then we will continue. Somebody?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Right.
I can try the first question. The first question was, examine the role of doubt in intelligence. So my understanding here is that while doubt is one of the important functions of intelligence, we should doubt when the source is not reliable and not blindly accept anything. Whereas doubting is not favorable when information is received from the proper source, like our Vedic scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and all other scriptures. Thank you.
Very good. Is that an eye-opener question? That yes, we have to doubt. Otherwise, we are blindly accepting and not realizing that we are taking anything and everything from material world and just taking it. And even for spirituality, Prabhupada has said in chapter 17, the lecture for chapter 17, Prabhupada only has one lecture for Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, where Prabhupada says, don't blindly follow. Inquire, not intelligently. Then you will achieve the best results. Very good.
Prabhu, just to add, while I was looking at this question, I was trying to answer this question. I was just thinking about all the pseudo-spiritualists, so-called sadhus in India, Prabhu. So, those who blindly follow and where they go. Like it's a blind man leading another blind man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Prahlad Maharaj explaining in Canto 7, blind leading the blind. It's not just the pseudo-spiritualists, even the political leaders. I mean, they themselves are not spiritually inclined, and therefore all these slaughterhouses are opening. And the latest we have here, that now the alcohol and the beer and everything is becoming more easily accessible. So it's all we have to doubt whether these are right or wrong. But when the source is spiritual, yes, you still inquire the proper, but don't doubt beyond a point. Okay, very good.
And Prabhuji, sorry, Prabhuji, the main Sankhya philosophy is by Kapila clearing the doubts to his mother, Prabhuji.
Yeah, very good. What else? Who else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
The next question, of course, it is again connected to sound, potency of sound in regard to the bondage and liberation. So, sound is the beginning of all the creation of all material objects. Sound is the origin of all objects of material possession. And only by sound one can actually dissolve this material bondage and existence as well, which Prabhupada called as anavrita sabda, liberation of sound by sound. By the transcendental sound of chanting Mahamantra or all scriptures, one can actually, that sound will help us to come out of the bondage that is created by sound.
Yeah, sound also both ways. If we hear everything and anything in the material world, then it causes bondage. And the chapter that we are going to cover now in 27 and later on, Lord Kapila will go on to describe that how people in the material world are so attached to children's voices, even though the children may not be speaking fluently, but people are attached to young children's voices. And that's a cause of bondage. So Lord Kapila will go on to explain that, yes, you can have wife, children, family, just don't be attached to them. Very good. Shivangi has a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Would it be possible to bring up that diagram again from the creation where it shows that flow chart, that sound is the first box and then the other boxes come after that?
Yeah, I will bring up, and you have a question for that?
No, I just want to see it again because it helps me better understand that it
Okay.
starts from sound and then all the other elements come.
Yeah, let me find it. Okay, coming up. Yeah, this slide, Shivangi.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, yeah. Shivangi is correct that sound is the starting point for the creation of the 5 great elements. Very good remembrance actually, Shivangi.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, the third question lists some of the activities going on because of movement of air. By the action of air, the leaves and the branches of the tree moves. Similarly, by the action of air, one moves. Impeded circulation is the cause of all diseases, which is confirmed in Ayurveda as well as Srimad Bhagavatam confirms that so many activities are going on internally as well as externally, including our sense activity. For example, due to air, hearing, due to air, detection of odor, due to air, the touch of fire is recognized. By the eyes, color is seen. This is my understanding, Prabhuji.
Yeah, very good. Anyone has anything to add?
Would you like to, if somebody is not telling, fourth one also I can.
Hold on, Shivangi.
Prabhuji, just that question, that one really was surprising because he was also saying in the pulpit that if the air circulation is not proper, then it can also cause like mental health issues. So that was really surprising.
Yeah, all the disease that we have in the body is because the air circulation is not proper.
Yeah.
Air circulation, like even constipation, it happens because of air circulation.
Mm-hmm.
Any disease, you can take any disease, and air circulation is the prime reason. Therefore, the circulation of air should be proper. Very good.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Even in Ashtanga Yoga, one of the aspect which is the pranayama. That's also it's all about controlling air and regulating air within the body.
Yeah, very good remembrance and correlation. That yes, Ashtanga Yoga, what you are doing is that you are regulating your air. First, you start by breathing from one nostril and in from one nostril and out from the other. And then what you are trying to do is you are trying to bring your prana. Prana floats in the various airs in the body, and you are trying to bring your prana, means or your air is regulated to that extent that you can actually divert the air within your body to the top part of your body, so that the soul also goes to the top part of the body and exits from the top part, so that the soul can attain auspicious destinations. Very good.
Prabhuji, in addition to that, there are 4 sources of energy: food, sleep, meditation, and respiration. That is air. And that is why when there is air, lack of air, people go into coma and then passes up. And energy, the sages, they live on air without food for days together. That is energizing. This is my understanding also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. There's one more question. Whosoever didn't answer can use the opportunity to answer.
Prabhuji, may I try this one?
Yeah.
The question is significance of Brahma over egg. The universal sky with the planet shaped like an egg. Just like egg covered by a shell, universe also with various layers like water, fire, sky. The holding the crust is pradhana, is what mentioned. Within the universe, the Lord is called Virat Purusha. Planetary situation, parts of his body, that is universal form of the Lord. The lowest planetary system, Pata, is called Soul Supreme. Earth is considered belly of Lord. Brahmaloka, highest planetary system of Lord, is considered head of the Lord. Like that, the layers are 10 times each one superior. And then the Brahma, but actually the Brahma has only 4 heads, and trying to know about it, no one can measure the length or breadth of God by speculation or false identification like what it is. These attempts, it's said as it is totally foolish. This is what described. It's my understanding.
Okay, I mean, you didn't say anything wrong, but it still didn't answer the significance of why Brahmaji has 4 heads. I mean, you explained other points from the purport. There's a specific reason for the 4 heads. Somebody wants to help, Chandran Prabhu?
Prabhuji, my understanding, the universe, this universe is the smallest compared to other universes. Hence, Brahma has only 4 heads.
Yeah, very good. So
For
that's a correct
management.
answer. And it gives...
Whereas,
Yeah, go ahead.
the other universes are greater. Brahma has more heads there, even 10 heads. The significance is the Lord's potency is inconceivable, which confirms no one can measure the length and breadth of God by speculation or by false identification with God. I would request you, this part of it I want you to kindly elaborate for better understanding. relating to this question.
Let me first show the visual. So in the purport for verse number 52 says about this is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this image is directly from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where you can see there are so many Brahmas with so many heads, because each universe has its own Brahma, and our universe is the smallest as well as the least complex. Therefore, the Brahmaji of our universe has the four heads, and the four heads are the least number of heads of Brahmaji. And other universes, the complexity of the universe is so much that the Brahmaji needs so many more heads. Therefore, the Brahmaji of other universes has so many more heads than the Brahmaji of our universe. So the point of this question is that our universe is the smallest and in terms of complexity. Therefore, Brahmaji has the least number of heads from all. Is everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So basically he's a superintendent, means he is in charge of all the activities, no Prabhu?
All activities of what? Who is in charge of what?
No, he's a superintendent. So he's overseeing all the material existence activities, Prabhu.
Brahma.
Okay, right.
Brahmaji is overseeing all the activities as far as creation and as far as the mode of passion is concerned. So Brahmaji is not overseeing destruction. That part is for Shiva. So you have to understand what is the role given to Brahmaji. Brahmaji's role is creation and mode of passion. So for these activities, he is the superintendent. Charlie.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Shivangi.
Prabhuji, I always wondered what the significance of the heads is. Why is it more number of heads? Is it something like more brain power for like a
Exactly.
bigger universe?
Yeah, exactly. The complexity is so much that to process all that data, Brahmaji needs so many heads. It's just the complexity is so much. I mean, in the material world, we are so proud of logic. And we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 that logic is also subject to limitation. So in the other universes, the logic component is much more complex than the logic that we know in this universe. Therefore, Brahmaji needs more heads to process that much complex data. That's why he has so many heads. Shivangi.
I see. But it is even this Brahmaji in front of us just looks like it's a lot of weight, Sorry.
So there are in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where from the Bhagavatam verse 52 reference, it says in Chaitanya Charitamrita is described. So this image is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it's described that there are Brahmajis with 100 heads, 1,000 heads, 100,000 heads, million heads. So you are only seeing few. There are Brahmajis with million heads.
Can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting, Prabhuji. Thank you.
And therefore we have to, but just visualize the yoga ladder discussion where I had shown the size of my ego. My ego thinks I am bigger than everything. Arey Baba, we are in the smallest of universe. Our universe is like a mustard seed. But my ego thinks I am bigger than everything.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's true.
Very good. Okay, Uncle had a question. I didn't hear the question, so if you can please repeat.
The question was
Is coming from which verse?
the fourth question. What we dealt with the size of 4 heads for in our universe. I was wanting to learn is the number of words relating to, now you have explained, complexity. That means ours, you have also confirmed that is the tiniest. Therefore, the number of words are relatively proportionate to the size of the universe. Am I correct?
Yeah, so the universe size is not different. So all universe sizes are generally similar. Is the complexity is less or more in our universe has the least amount of complexity, although it is too complex. So other universes are even more complex, and therefore Shivangi correctly pointed out. Cannot even imagine. That was your question?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So I want to hear from you all the reaction from this exercise. So last class we did not read any purports, and I left these really important questions without discussion, and I left it for you. So I want to hear back from you all in terms of your feedback for this exercise.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Personally, me and Gopal, we both did this exercise together, and it is like, going through the purports and trying to understand what we had read Prabhu last class.
And more importantly, Prabhu, even when we normally read, it also re-emphasizes the fact that one has to have that inquisitiveness, the questioning, more and more, wanting to seek more and more kind of stuff.
Yeah, and very good that you did it together. So that is 10.9 Bhagavad Gita. What is 10.9? Anybody wants to recite? Mat chitta mat gata prana?
Yes, Prabhu. Machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha.
So when you did it together, so you were doing bodhayanta parasparam kathayantas chamam nityam. That you were coming together and enlightening each other. Very good. So that's a very appropriate approach to doing these spiritual endeavors. Very good. Rest of you?
In fact, last week, this 10.9 is the key memorization verse we have been reciting, all of us, including Shalini.
Yeah.
And my understanding, Prabhuji, you have been giving homework nearly 3 years I have been attending. Rather, I am privileged to attend. Whenever you give the questions, I rewrite the questions again so that I don't miss, and I compare whether I have written properly with Chandra, because she writes absolutely perfect. I used to take down notes when you are taking class. So when the particular question you ask, I compare the notes what I have taken and what I read from the purport, even though we have read in the class, so that when you are in a calm atmosphere, your realization is becoming clearer. It is transparent. That is my experience of these 3 years which I have been doing, which you have given us now.
Okay,
Thank you.
So comparing notes is also 10.9. And yes, very good remembrance that the reading chapter a day is these verses in comes 10.9 comes in there every day. Very good approach by all of you. Rest of you, feedback on the endeavor.
Yes, Prabhuji. By reading the purport by ourselves makes a lot of difference, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good. Shivangi, Chandran, Prabhu, Dipanshu.
An attempt to understand without the help of the spiritual master.
Yeah, I'm not a spiritual master, but I mean, you have to get out of your comfort zone at some point of time. So these were very important questions, but the answers were right there in the purport. It's not like something hidden. So just a step to get you out of your comfort zone. Okay, very good. Rest of you.
Prabhuji, I like it when we discuss it in class and then when we think more about it, like the usual way. It helps me think a little deeper, but that's just what I found.
Yeah, so we do discuss. So as I just described, that these were out of your comfort zone. So I was trying to take you out of your comfort zone to give you something that you can do by yourself. That way you get some experience of this.
Prabhuji, one more thing I wish to add if you have finished.
Yeah, go ahead.
See, in the college days, we have to do experiments in chemistry and all. We read ourselves and realize, and we relate it to the practical work. Similarly, the discussions what we have during the class and reading the purport again at home, at leisure, in your own space, in your own time. It is a reinforcement of realization. That is what I felt.
Yeah, you are correct. It's reinforcing what we discussed. Okay, very good. Dipanshu?
Prabhuji, I am still left with listening the last lecture. I was in Vrindavan last week, so I will listen. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Get blessings for everyone from Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna.
Our obeisances on behalf of everyone at Vrindavan.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so any
Last thing, Prabhuji, I want to make one request, if it is okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
My nephew visited Daimi Sarnya about 3 weeks ago. He has sent a couple of pictures. Would you like me to send to you so that you can?
Yeah, you can send it to me and we'll take a look.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So anybody wants to explain anything, key points, striking points from before, and any inquiries from our previous class? No inquiries, no points.
Prabhuji, the concentrating the mind on a super soul is the main thing in the Sankhya philosophy.
All right.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, I forgot. Prabhu, can you please explain what exactly is ether? Because from sound comes ether. So the other elements are fine. What exactly is ether?
Okay, so I'll bring up the so ether is the sky. So air, fire, water, earth is straightforward. If you only look up ether anywhere, it will tell you it's the sky.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. So we'll continue Canto 3, chapter 27 from verse 1 onwards. Although it's a small chapter, but I won't finish the chapter today. Otherwise, it will be too much of a rush. Few verses will be left over. So we'll go easier pace. We'll be reading important purports today. So just the context of the recap of where we are. In chapter 26, the previous chapter, Lord Kapila explained the manifestation and characteristics of elements such as Mahat Tattva. then universal form composed of elements, and universal form being brought to life by the entrance of the Lord. Since we are engrossed with material nature for a long time, at least I am engrossed with material nature for a long time, for our smooth execution of devotional service, we should also understand material nature, because we are situated on the platform of external energy for a very long time. And this is Sankhya Tattva, that what is nature of material world, what are the components of material energy, what is their nature, how they act upon the conditioned soul. All this is known as the study of Sankhya Tattva. By understanding Sankhya, Jiva knows about the Lord. Jiva knows about the process of devotional service. Jiva knows about the inferior material nature, and Jiva this way knows the whole package. So in Canto 3, chapter 25, verse number 29, Devahuti asked 4 questions, and question number 3 in 3:25:29, Devahuti said to explain jnana by which we can understand the tattva. I will soon ask you a question on this jnana part. And the answer to Devahuti's this question number 3 is given by Lord Kapila in chapter 26 and 27. In this chapter 27, Lord Kapila describes Bhakti Mishra Jnana, the conditioned jiva and the liberated jiva. Chapter 27 is titled Understanding Material Nature and is divided into 8 parts. So each part is just 2 or 3 verses. So part 1 is verses 1 to 5. The jiva in the conditioned state. Part 2, verses 6 to 11. Attaining liberation by yoga. So here yoga is referring to jnana. So you can say attaining liberation by yoga or jnana. Part 3 is verses 12 to 13. Inferring the presence of soul and super soul. Part 4, verses 14 to 16. Soul without material coverings. Part 5, verses 17 to 20. Devahuti's questions about a rarity of liberation. Part 6, verses 21 to 23. Lord Kapila recommends intense practice. Part 7, 24 to 26. Prakriti cannot harm an enlightened soul. Part 8, 27 to 30. Final liberation of the yogi. Everybody got the parts?
Yes, Prabhu.
So in verse number 1 purport, Srila Prabhupada does the connection with the previous chapter 26. Verse number 1 describes the purity of the soul. Shivangi, verse number 1 translation.
Hare Krishna. The personality of Godhead, Kapila continued, when the living entity is thus unaffected by the modes of material nature, because he is unchanging and does not claim proprietorship, he remains apart from the reactions of the modes, although abiding in a material body, just as the sun remains aloof from its reflection on water.
So in the material world, in material body, whether in human or animal body, Jiva is always undergoing changes. But if one reinstates the constitutional position of being servant of the Lord, then there are no more changes because you are at the level of soul. So the devotees, they stay fixed in their rasa, and one is freed from the proprietorship. One is freed from the three modes. So the analogy of the sun's reflection in water is given here. That sun appears different in different water bodies. And if, say, one of that water body is, the water is agitated, the sun appears to be agitated. But in reality, sun is one and is not agitated. Similarly, devotee, although in the material world, the devotee is aloof to the material changes. Shivangi, purport, verse 1.
Purport. In the previous chapter, Lord Kapila Deva has concluded that simply by beginning the discharge of devotional service, one can attain detachment and transcendental knowledge for understanding the science of God. Here, the same principle is confirmed. A person who is detached from the modes of material nature remains just like the sun reflected on water. When the sun is reflected on water, the movement of the water or the coolness or unsteadiness of the water cannot affect the sun. Similarly, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha 1.2.7. When one engages fully in activities of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, he becomes just like the sun reflected on water. Although a devotee appears to be in the material world, actually he is in the transcendental world, as the reflection of the sun appears to be on the water, but is many millions of miles away from the water. So one engaged in the Bhakti Yoga process is nirguna or unaffected by the qualities of material nature. Avikara means without change. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that each and every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and thus his eternal position is to cooperate or to dovetail his energy with the Supreme Lord. This is his unchanging position. As soon as he employs his energy in activities for sense gratification, this change of position is called vikara. Similarly, even in this material body, when he practices devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, he comes to the position which is without change because that is his natural duty. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, liberation means reinstatement in one's original position. The original position is one of rendering service to the Lord, bhakti yogena bhaktya. When one becomes detached from material attraction and engages fully in devotional service, that is changelessness. Akartritvat means not doing anything for sense gratification. When one does something at his own risk, there is a sense of proprietorship and therefore a reaction. But when one does everything for Krishna, there is no proprietorship over the activities. By changelessness and by not claiming the proprietorship of activities, one can immediately situate himself in the transcendental position in which one is not touched by the modes of material nature, just as a reflection of the sun is unaffected by the water. Hare Krishna.
All right. Questions, comments, realizations? Verse number 2 describes the contamination of the soul. Verse number 3 describes the transmigration of the soul. And verse number 4 describes the dual mentality. Shalini, verse number 2, translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 2, translation. When the soul is under the spell of material nature and false ego, identifying his body as a self, he becomes absorbed in material activities. And by the influence of false ego, he thinks that he is the proprietor of everything. Hare Krishna.
So verse 1 describes the liberated condition of the soul, that he is not touched anything material. And verse 2 describes the contrary condition of the jiva in the material world. So the same transcendental jiva becomes absorbed in the gunas and bewildered by the false ego. And Srila Prabhupada describes the difference between liberated soul and the conditioned soul. The purport we'll read very soon. Shivangi has a question.
Probably not a question, but just one time when we were doing service with Aditi Mataji, she was making chapatis on the big stove, and I just remember her one thing she said. She said, anyone can do this. It's not like this position belongs to me. And that just really stuck with me because like she wasn't possessive over that task or like thinking herself being like, I'm the cook, I'm the one who's making the rotis, it's like my thing. So it just stuck with me.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. And therefore, devotional service is not a material task. I've already said so many times that we go and observe what other elevated devotees are doing. So Aditi Mataji clearly showed that I am not the proprietor. I am just a servant. Anybody can do this service. So we have to be thankful that whenever we get service, that okay, let me go and do to the best of my abilities. Just as today also many of us will be going for the Sunday feast, cutting and cooking services. So yes, very good observation. So both points are good, that Aditi Mataji first demonstrating the principles, and then Shivangi also demonstrating Satovrate. We have discussed Satovrate in Act of Instruction, that we have to observe and then follow. This is the way to develop the qualities that are required. So qualities are described in Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, verses 8 to 12. I mean, other places also. And we have discussed this same point, that you observe others, just as we always go and talk about Dwarkanath also, that how he is not in I, me, mind concept. And you all can judge how difficult it is to get out of that I, me, mind concept. So very good, Shivangi. Very good that you observe and then you also try to follow, that these good things stick on you. Very good.
Hard to follow, Prabhuji.
Yeah. At least observing it's a good starting point, and little by little it will come and become second nature. Okay. Shalini, read verse 2 purport.
Hare Krishna. Actually, the conditioned soul is forced to act under the pressure of the modes of material nature. The living entity has no independence. When he is under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is free. But when, under the impression that he is satisfying his senses, he engages in sense-gratifactory activities, he is actually under the spell of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Prakrite Kriya Manani. One acts according to the particular modes of nature he has acquired. Guna refers to the qualities of nature. He is under the qualities of nature, but he falsely thinks that he is the proprietor. This false sense of proprietorship can be avoided simply by engaging oneself in devotional service under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his bona fide representative. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita was trying to accept for himself the responsibility for killing his grandfather and teacher in the fight, but he became freed from that proprietorship of action when he acted under the direction of Krishna. He fought, but he was actually freed from the reactions of fighting, although in the beginning, when he was non-violent, unwilling to fight, the entire responsibility was upon him. That is the difference between liberation and conditioning. A conditioned soul may be very good and act in the mode of goodness, but still he is conditioned under the spell of material nature. A devotee, however, acts completely under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Thus, his action may not appear to be of very high quality to the common man, but the devotee has no responsibility. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhupada is explaining with a comparison of liberated and conditioned souls. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This just reminded me of, action and no reaction, Prabhu, and inaction and there's a reaction, Prabhu, from Bhagavad Gita.
Very good. Very good remembrance of 4.16, 17, 18 Bhagavad Gita discussion. Okay. So verse 3 describes the transmigration of the jiva. Gopal Prabhu, verse 3 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 3 translation. The conditioned soul therefore transmigrates into different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Unless he is relieved of material activities, he has to accept this position because of his faulty work. Hare Krishna.
So, faulty work, karma dosha. So the changes during this lifetime and the cycle of birth and death happens because of karma dosha, means because of faulty actions. So from spiritual perspective, from pure devotional service perspective, both pious and impious activities are karma dosha, are faulty. So Srila Prabhupada explains this in the purport, that the pious activities such as, say, building hospitals, is actually karma dosha, are faulty, because such pious activities do not promote anyone to spiritual world. The pious activities bind us to the material world. Therefore, pious activities are also equally bad to impious activities, and in a sense, really pious activities are more bad than bad activities. Just visualize all these rich people like we have Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Ambani's. So they all did a lot of pious activities in their past life, and see what they are doing now. Therefore, pious activities is not the greatest. Very good. Purport, Prabhu, read purport.
Hare Krishna. Purport. Here the word karma dosha means by faulty actions. This refers to any activity, good or bad, performed in this material world. They are all contaminated. Faulty actions because of material association. The foolish conditioned soul may think that he is offering charity by opening hospitals for material benefit, or by opening an educational institution for material education, or he does not know that all such work is also faulty because it will not give him relief from the process of transmigration from one body to another. It is clearly stated here, Sat Asat Mishra Yogin Yonishu. This means that one may take birth in a very high family, or he may take his birth in higher planets among the demigods for his so-called pious activities in the material world. But this work is also faulty because it does not give liberation. To take birth in a nice place or a high family does not mean that one avoids undergoing the material turbulations, the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. A conditioned soul under the spell of material nature cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty, that only his activities in devotional service to the Lord can give him release from the reaction of faulty activities. Because he does not see such faulty activities, he has to change to different bodies, some high and some low. That is called samsara padam, which means this material world from which there is no release. One who desires material liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service. There is no alternative.
Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, instead of opening hospital teaching institution, one facilitates many people by opening temples to enhance spiritual realization. How does it relate to this situation?
Yeah, so the hospitals or any humanitarian work is helping at the bodily level. But the spiritual topics, they help at the soul level. Therefore, it has permanent benefit. So it's not that you don't need hospitals. Yes, you do need. But what Prabhupada is saying or trying to explain here is that don't think that if you are giving donation for hospital that you will go back home to Godhead. That's what Prabhupada is trying to explain here. That these are actually even the pious activities like opening hospital, they are also karma dosha, they are also faulty from the point of spirituality. That's the point being discussed here.
Got
So verse number 4 describes the doer mentality. Dipanshu, verse number 4 translation.
Hare Krishna. Actually, a living entity is transcendental to material existence, but because of his mentality of lording it over material nature, his material existential condition does not cease, and just as in a dream, he is affected by all sort of disadvantages. Hare Krishna.
So Srila Prabhupada explains the dreaming state in the purport. We'll soon read. So the soul is transcendental. We discussed in verse number 1, and verse number 2 onwards, Lord Kapila describes the characteristics of conditioned soul. That the jiva thinks I am this body because of enjoying mentality. This creates physical and mental condition. So because of enjoying mentality, jiva thinks I am the greatest soul of all souls. This is artificial. Originally, we have to come to the point of serving the Lord. So we need to get out of the sleeping and the dreaming contaminated conditions. And Prabhupada describes that when we are awake in the material world, that is also extended dreaming. That this is my wife and this is my child and I am boss and whatnot. Prabhu, read verse number 4 purport.
The example of a dream is very appropriate. Due to different mental conditions in dreams, we are put into advantageous and disadvantageous positions. Similarly, the spirit soul has nothing to do with this material nature, but because of his mentality of lording it over, he is put into the position of conditioned existence. Conditional existence is described here as dhyayato vishayanasya. Vishaya means an object of enjoyment. As long as one continues to think that he can enjoy material advantages, he is in conditioned life. But as soon as he comes to his senses, he develops the knowledge that he is not the enjoyer, for the only enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, he is the beneficiary for all the results of sacrifices and penances. Bhoktanam Yajna Tapasam. And he is the proprietor of all three words, Sarva Loka Maheshwara. He is the actual friend of all living entities, but instead of leaving proprietorship, enjoyment, and the actual position as the friend of all living entities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we claim that we are the proprietors, the enjoyers, and the friends. We perform philanthropic work, thinking that we are the friends of human society. Someone may proclaim himself to be a very good national worker, the best friend of the people and of the country, but actually he cannot be the greatest friend of everyone. The only friend is Krishna. One should try to raise the consciousness of the conditioned soul to the platform of understanding that Krishna is his actual friend. If one makes friendship with Krishna, one will never be cheated and he will get all help needed. Arousing this consciousness of conditioned soul is the greatest service, not posing oneself as the great friend of another living entity. The power of friendship is limited. Although one claims to be a friend, he cannot be a friend unlimitedly. There are an unlimited number of living entities and our resources are limited. Therefore, we cannot be of any real benefit to the friend in general. The best service to the people in general is to awaken them to Krishna consciousness so that they may know that the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend is Krishna. Then this illusionary dream of lording it over material nature will vanish. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations?
The crux is that Krishna consciousness attachment is the best than anything.
Yeah, very good. It will come up in the next verse. So in verse number 2, 3, 4 was the problem. And the solution will come up in verse number 5, which Uncle anyway described. Very good. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, just a observation in my personal life. There's like a sense of pride in thinking that, oh, I'm this person's greatest. Like I'm their best friend. I'm their good friend. I'm their closest friend. So it's definitely it's definitely eye-opening today a little bit because like I can't be that person. So yeah.
Very good. Very good. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 discussion about the modes, that pride is very, very sneaky anartha. That we may cross all other anarthas, which anyway is difficult. That we may cross all other anarthas and we will walk into the jaws of pride. Again, I have described the word jaws with emphasis. that pride is very, very sneaky, and the solution that we don't get into the jaws of pride, the solution is that we stay humble and we stay in the service mode. That's the best way to not get pride. Very good observation, Shivangi. Shalini, Gopal.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No, Prabhu, just when we were discussing, about all this proprietorship and everything and about, donating, the faulty way of giving and all. One observation I was just thinking about it is, in general, all over the world, people are so much wanting to do philanthropy, especially to take care of the material body, Prabhu, like hospitals and education and so on and so forth. I was just thinking if the same money was donated towards, the focus would be, that is there, but the focus would be on Krishna consciousness, where the world would be, Prabhu.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. So Prabhupada has actually described almost what Shalini described. Prabhupada has described this in 1.5.11 or 1.5.10 purport, where Prabhupada says that if the wealthy people, they donate a small portion of their wealth to Krishna consciousness, then the whole world will get benefited. So almost word for word, what Shalini just said, Prabhupada has actually said that in 1.5.11 or somewhere close to that purport. I'm looking up right now to see if that's the purport. I cannot find right now, but it's somewhere in that region, those set of verses where Prabhupada has described this part. Yeah, very good realization that yes, many of them are absorbed in philanthropy because they are focused on themselves. So their charity is in the mode of ignorance or probably in the mode of passion. Therefore, they are focused on their own name rather than real help to anybody. Okay, very good. Dipanshu Prabhu.
Prabhuji, in purport, Prabhupaji mentions that he cannot be the greatest friend of everyone. So what about the association with the devotees? Aren't the devotees be a good friends?
So here the discussion is about the conditioned souls, that everybody is trying to do the philanthropy work and they cannot really help anyone. That's what Prabhupada is trying to explain.
Okay.
Shivangi?
Prabhuji, but even among the devotees, how can you fully connect with someone? Isn't that only possible with Krishna? There's always some challenges or situations.
Yeah, so pure devotee, for sure, you can connect at the highest level. Other devotees, yes, they will be still subject to the interference with the modes. So you are correct. The level of purity will determine the relationship also.
But there's still no attachment, right, Prabhuji? I always remember that example that you always talk about when the Pandavas were when it was time for them to go back to Krishna Loka, they just left and they left Draupadi and Subhadra without even looking back. It's how can you do that? It's keep remembering that. So it's everybody's just gonna go, right, Prabhuji? Nobody's gonna look and see, oh, somebody else is coming too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Every man for himself. It almost seems like that. So
yeah, everyone has to fly their own airplane. Shivangi is referring to 11550. But everyone has to fly their own airplane, and you cannot get help. Just as Pandavas left, nobody talked about Draupadi, and Draupadi also did not complain, because Draupadi had also learned the process while she was with them. So that's what 115.50 explains, that help is available on the ground from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. But once you have to go back home, it's up to you by yourself. Very good.
Okay, Prabhuji. I was just basically saying that it's like you're alone. It's like you're always alone.
You are always alone. There's no doubt about it at the soul level while you are in the material world. When you connect with Krishna, that's when you connect with all souls, because Krishna is the thread, the example of the pearl necklace from 7.7 Bhagavad Gita. So when you connect with Krishna, that's when you actually connect with all souls. Otherwise, you are just connecting at the bodily level with everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right, Mother Chandra Aunty, verse number 5 translation. So verse number 5 is the solution, as we just spoke a few minutes ago. That 1 to 4 were the problem. No, 1 wasn't the problem. 2, 3, 4 was the problem, and verse number 5 describes the solution.
Text 5, Hare Krishna. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to material enjoyment, in every serious devotional service with detachment. This is mind and consciousness will be under full control.
So the solution is, what Uncle correctly described, is that gradually control the contaminated and materially attached mind through bhakti yoga and follow detachment. If you want to get out of the conditioned life, which is described in verses 2, 3, and 4, if you want to get out of the dreaming condition, then you have to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead seriously. And to understand that Krishna is the enjoyer, we are just meant to serve him. So by Gyan Yoga and by Ashtanga Yoga, you cannot control the mind and senses for a long time. Only by Bhakti Yoga, you can control the mind, because mind is engaged properly in the service of the Lord according to scriptures. Right now, my mind is attached to asat. Asat means temporary matter. Therefore, transfer the attachment to Sat. Sat means eternal, to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So from matter, withdraw mind by the via medium of Bhakti Yoga and concentrate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Questions, comments, realizations. The first 5 verses starts with a bang, this chapter.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. These 5 verses are, bang to the point, and so many Bhagavad Gita principles have been elaborated here, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So part 2 is verses 6 to 11. Attaining liberation by yoga or jnana. Here yoga is referring to the Jnana Yoga path. So we already know, here I'm going to ask you a question very soon. So we already know that Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga are not the yoga processes for Kali Yuga. And still Lord Kapila is explaining the process of Jnana Yoga as an answer to Devahuti's question number 3. Question number 3 is to explain Jnana, by which one understands the Tattva to attain liberation. And the process of Bhakti Yoga is already explained as the best process. Now, here's my question to you all. All of you, please try to answer. Do we really need to read these verses? They are pure Gyan Yoga. The verses that we are about to read right now, they are purely Gyan Yoga path. And the same is there in Bhagavad Gita also from chapter 18, verses 49 to 54, I think, plus minus one verse. So my question to you is, you all already know this fact, that Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga are not the processes of Kali Yuga. Bhakti Yoga is the best process. So how many of you are steady in Bhakti Yoga? Everybody, please answer.
Yeah, at least I am a beginner. Yeah, I'm still a neophyte kind of person. I think.
So are you steady or not?
Trying to be steady. I mean, at least whatever I do, I am committed every day, regardless of wherever I am, I travel or whatever. But
So are you steady or not?
way to go.
Are you steady, Prabhu is asking?
Are you steady in Bhakti Yoga, Gopal Prabhu?
I'm trying to be steady, Prabhu. That's what I said.
Trying to be steady. Okay, very good. Rest of you? How many of you are steady in Bhakti Yoga?
Not steady, Prabhuji.
Okay, rest of you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Not steady, Prabhu. I can't say the 365 days I'm doing the same thing, Prabhu. No.
The rest of you?
Me too, Prabhu.
You are steady.
Maximum I try.
Okay, you try. So are you steady or not, Mother Chandra Aunty?
No, in that a little bit steady, Prabhu, not fully.
Okay, rest of you, please answer.
I am not steady,
steady,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
but practicing.
Okay, uncle is not steady practicing. Dipanshu?
No, not steady, Prabhu. Not at all.
Chandran Prabhu?
I'm not steady, Prabhu.
So the neophyte, meaning all of, at least I am also not steady. So the neophyte does not have full support of Bhakti Yoga because I am not pure. Therefore, in the sadhaka stage, like for all of us, we need help from Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga to some extent. Not to follow the Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga process, just use the components of Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga that are usable for the Bhakti Yoga process. So if you recall Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 discussion, we have done the same exercise there also. So here, from these verses, you can apply the same principle that we discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, that what you can use from here so that you become steady in Bhakti Yoga. So verse number 6 describes Mishra Bhakti, means mixed Bhakti. Uncle, verse number 6 translation. Unmute. Uncle, unmute.
Hare Krishna, I'm sorry, Prabhuji. Verse number 6. One has to become faithful by practicing the controlling process of the yoga system and must elevate himself to the platform of unalloyed devotional service by chanting and hearing about me.
So you have to follow the process of faithfully practicing the yoga process with devotion and faith, and chant and hear about the Lord. So verses 7 to 10 gives a list of 18 qualities to be cultivated by a jnani. And these qualities, some of them at least, can also help a bhakti yogi like you all. So we won't discuss each of these qualities. We will just briefly read and you can note for yourself in terms of what you can use. Shivangi has a question.
Sorry, Prabhuji. It was just an accident.
So, Chandran Prabhu will read verse 7 and 8 translations.
Hare Krishna. In executing devotional service, one has to see every living entity equally without enmity towards anyone, yet without intimate connections with anyone. One has to observe celibacy, be grave and execute his eternal activities, offering the results of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text said, for his income, a devotee should be satisfied with what he earns without great difficulty. He should not eat more than what is necessary. He should live in a secluded place and always be thoughtful, peaceful, friendly, compassionate, and self-realized. Hare Krishna.
So, and I'll just list the qualities: that equality to all jivas, no enmity, celibacy, being grave, offering results of one's activities to the Lord, satisfaction with what comes of its own accord, be regulated in eating, be thoughtful, be peaceful, be friendly, be compassionate, and be self-possessed or self-realized. So I'm just listing what we read from the verses. Chandran Prabhu will continue reading 9 and 10 translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation 9. One is seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter, and one should not unnecessarily identify himself with the body and thus become attracted by bodily relationship. Text 10. One should be situated in the transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness and should be aloof from all other conceptions of life, thus realizing freedom from false ego. One should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. Hare Krishna.
So again, I will list the qualities from the verse that we just read. That one should not have bodily identification or attraction for bodily relations. One should transcend the 3 stages of material consciousness and seeing the reality by realized knowledge of spirit and matter. Being aloof from all other conceptions of life and being self-realized. So pretty straightforward, is just giving that this is the sadhana of the Gyan Yoga. You can definitely use some of these for yourself. Any questions, comments, realizations on these? Verse number 11, the last verse for us today, describes the characteristics of super soul. So in the upcoming verses, we'll know how to see the super soul or perceive the super soul. So the verse number 11 describes how the liberated soul realizes the super soul. Chandran Prabhu, verse 11.
Hare Krishna. Verse 11. A liberated soul realizes the absolute personality of Godhead, who is transcendental and who is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the support of the material cause and he enters into everything. He is absolute, one without a second, and he is the eyes of the illusory energy. Hare Krishna.
So the characteristics described in this verse are that is manifest as a reflection even in the false ego. He is the cause of Prakriti. He is the revealer of material elements, it's pervading into everything, and he is one without a second. So this is how the pure devotee, through the energies of the Lord, perceives the Lord 24 hours. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay. So I don't have any homework questions to give you for the verses that we have covered. You can read the purports and finish reading the rest of the chapter. We'll try to finish rest of the chapter in our following class. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Mm.